In our first story, the transition team of President-elect Nana Akufo-Addo will now be giving heads up about any major transactions or decision government takes between now and January 7 when it eventually leaves office. The understanding was reached at Monday's transition team meeting. It follows concerns raised about last-minute contracts being signed off by the outgoing administration, a case in point being an €18 million waste management agreement. Joining us is Raymond Aqua reports the outgoing administration has also submitted all except the handing over notes of the Office of Government Machinery.
According to provisions of the Presidential Transition Act, the transition team is to make comprehensive arrangements to regulate the transfer of political power after a presidential election. The law provides for the establishment of 3 specific committees: the Integration Subcommittee, the Government Machinery Subcommittee, and the Presidency Subcommittee. Yao Safmafo, who leads the NPP's transition team, who acknowledged receipt of the notes at a press briefing, added that, with the exception of notes on the Office of Government Machinery, it has taken delivery of all the relevant documents and will proceed to scrutinize it. On her part, the spokesperson of the government's transition team, Hannah Tete, explained the team has now agreed to engage further on the critical issues to ensure successful transfer of power.
I would also like to make known to ladies and gentlemen of the media that we have agreed within these discussions on a consultation mechanism by which we will engage each other if there are any issues that are arising out of the handover of these notes or any other matters that are pertaining to the transition. And should the need arise, we will invite you for briefing periodically. But it would be a briefing that is done and that is called at the behest of our 2 co-chairs, who would then make any information that we consider that is important to put in the public domain available to ladies and gentlemen of the media. So we've agreed the working framework. We've completed the handover of the notes, and at this point the transition team now begins its work in earnest.
Meanwhile, Environment Minister Mahama Yaga has been defending the approval of an €18 million waste management contract, which was signed last week.
Ordinarily, I would even think that you don't need to go to PPA for that kind of thing. But out of, being cautious and making sure that in future nobody raises an issue, before the elections, there was an application to me as minister, and I forwarded the application.
And this is in November specifically?
Yes. In fact, the matter started long before, just that because I was running around campaigning, I had no time to present it. But before the election, I submitted the application to the Public Procurement Authority. And it is simply this, that X company says they want to establish an electronic waste recycling plant. They are going to bear the cost of establishing their plant. They say that the plant costs €18 million. So kindly give them the permission to establish the waste recycling plant so that in future, when government of Ghana is procuring services for recycling of electronic waste, they will be one of the companies that will be eligible to provide the service.
Now, one of the 4 names said to be in the reckoning for the position of Speaker in the next Parliament, Freddie Blay, says he finds the thought flattering as well as exciting. The former MP for Lembele and acting national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, along with former second Deputy Speaker, Professor Michael Quay, MP for Sekendi Papo Usankuma, and his colleague from Iskado Ketangjo Gate, are said to be the most likely to succeed Speaker Dua Jaho. The eventual successor will be known before the swearing in of the new Parliament on January 7. Though very happy to continue in his acting national chairman position until the NPP decides at Congress, Mr. Blay says he will welcome the job of Speaker. He spoke with Joy News editor Jifa Bampo, who asked him what the future holds for him.
Well, this is the busiest part of the whole transaction. That's a very interesting question. I've not really thought of that. But what's next for me? As an individual, yes, I'm part of a team. That is the National Executive Committee. I represent the chair, as you say, I'm acting chair. National Executive will take decisions relating to what is going on. What is most important, essentially, is that we should be prepared to take over the government. And we have a manifesto. The president-elect and his vice went around and preaching very well, emphasizing issues that we wanted to raise, how to tackle the economy, how to reduce inflation, how to empower, or if you try to increase the value of the city and make the economy grow the size of the economy, give jobs particularly. These are some of the challenges that we think are on our way, and I believe we should, as a party, support our government, support the administration, ensure that what we promise the people of this country will be in a position to deliver. That's what most essential on our mind.
You're acting chairman, your position was never exactly confirmed.
Yeah.
What does that say?
The Constitution says we go to Congress once a year, unless we call a special Congress for it. But as I'm comfortable with that for now, it's within 1.5 or 2 years maximum, we shall go back to the people, to the party, and see what can be done. I don't think that is a big problem at all. Of course, also were voted for and been suspended as to what to do with them and so forth and so on.
That will be dealt with at the next Congress?
National Executive Committee will make a decision that it belongs on suspension as to whether the suspension will be lifted, how it is, and so forth, how to do. President-elect has also spoken about it, tapping minds as to how to bring. We want to bring unity. We want to have people who are of like mind, who are essentially party men, to come along and let us all build the party.
It's interesting you talk about, everyone coming together, the president-elect talking about tapping minds. You're a fertile legal mind, one who'd been in parliament really long time, served 3 terms as MP, became second deputy speaker, became first deputy speaker. Are your should I say looking glasses looking towards parliament?
That's a very difficult thing. You've cornered me. I ordinarily, that's why I have worked in public politics. I would have loved to be there. It's interesting, but a lot doesn't depend on me. This is a process I believe is going on. As I talk to you now, we have 175 members in parliament, a very comfortable majority, and it would be nice to work with them.
But I understand that lots of names have come up. I understand that you're in there as well. How does that make you feel?
Well, I'm flattered. It's exciting that people mention your name about what you could also do, the contribution. But let me emphasize that I'm a soldier in the army. Wherever I find myself, in whatever capacity, I'm ready to serve my nation, serve my party. I have been privileged to serve in a position of first vice and then, of course, acting chair. Fortunately, we've come to power. I feel excited. I feel that I'm blessed that it's happened.
You feel you're in the right place at the right time?
It's exciting. Come to think of it, Ghanaians wanted a change has come. I am part of it. I'm part of that history. And that in itself makes me feel that it's an honor to serve my party, an honor to serve my country. And that it didn't happen bad. Nothing went bad. That, on the contrary, we've come out of it victorious. The battle that belonged to the Lord has been faithful to the people of this country and to our party. And I'm also happy and proud.
Right, so that was acting national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Freddie Blay. I'm joined in the studio now by Elton John Brobe, who's our parliamentary correspondent, but in the last few days has been following the president-elect. Good evening and welcome, Elton. Now, let's first talk about the names that have come up for Speaker of the position of Speaker. Who's your money on?
Well, for the names that we know so far.
I'm asking you this because, like I said, you've been following the president-elect, and so you know the inner workings.
I think one that's ringing so high is Professor Michael Quay, a former second deputy speaker of parliament, a former Ghana's ambassador to India. And, you know, he's been there before, a former member of parliament for Dom Kwabenya. 2 terms he served in parliament. He is quite high on the agenda for now. Papa Uso Ankama, sitting member of parliament for second day, former majority leader, former attorney general. He's also in there. But I think that if you want to look at the considerations that goes into determine some of these positions, and the fact that we have a president from the south, a vice from the north, if you want to balance the scale of power, as some party people may want us to believe, they are looking at the fact that the MPP won in the Greater Accra region. It will be good for them to give that position to somebody from the Greater Accra region. Remember what President Kufuor did when he assumed power, when Peter Alajete was appointed as Speaker for the first term of the Kufuor administration. So if that consideration is paramount at this stage, then clearly you can say that the only guy within the circles who is more prominent and capable of handling this particular position will be no other person than Professor Michael Quay. Even though we've heard that Gloria Akufu, who is also a guy, is also being rumored to being considered for this top job.
Okay, that makes it 5 then.
That makes it 5 because for now we have 2 males. The blend, people want to see more women empowerment, and if the speaker's position is given to a woman for now, and if the tribal consideration is played quite high, Gloria Akufu, who is also a Ghana, from what I've been told, is also being considered for this particular job. Okay,
well, if you're saying it, we can't help but go along with you. Now, you've spoken to Professor Michael Quay at the Thanksgiving service that happened on Sunday, but he didn't really say much.
No, he didn't say much, and you know, it tells you that, I mean, it's gotten to him. He didn't want to come across as somebody who is so desperate for the job. I mean, that is the impression I got yesterday.
That's your reading.
Yes, exactly. But he was excited when I put the question to him, saying that we give thanks to God, and because clearly it's going to be one of the early appointments that the president will be making, and we are expecting that name to come up after New Year, because Parliament will have to group on the 6th of January. And once that parliament is dissolved and a new one is ushered in, that will be their first task will be the election of the Speaker of Parliament. So from now till New Year's Day, the president-elect must firm up his nominee for the Speaker and the first Deputy Speaker, because the second Deputy Speaker will be the responsibility of the NDC minority to come up with their choice. So it is something that is urgent, that is important, that
it has to happen.
Consideration is done as early as possible to bring that person to the House.
All right, since you started with a bit about the next Parliament, the formation of the next Parliament, can you walk us through the process? They are currently MPs elect. When do we expect them to congregate for them to decide on who becomes the next Speaker?
Now, the process started today with the registration of all MPs elect. The convention is that the life of this Parliament, the 6th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, will end before the midnight of 6 January 2017. And that will end with everybody in there. Now, those who won re-election, they will be coming in, even though they are continuing, they will be coming in as new members of the 7th Parliament of Ghana. So on around 11, what I'm told is that at 11 p.m., the House will have to meet the 6th Parliament for the current Speaker, Dua Yahoo, to take them through the closing ceremony. And then before midnight, that particular Parliament will stand dissolved. So there will be no Parliament. And then minutes into the new day, the 7th Parliament will be ushered in. The roll will be called for all members to come in. Because we will not have a Speaker, the clerk will be the one to preside over the House.
All right.
So he will take members through the swearing-in ceremony. Once that is done, the majority side, the MPP, will have to announce to the gathering their leader, the majority leader. Now, he will in turn announce to the House the choice of the group as far as the Speaker is concerned, and then the first Deputy Speaker. They will move out of the chamber to go and bring the incoming Speaker. Now, the law says that Parliament must vote to accept or reject the choice of the President. Once that is done and the person is confirmed, then he will become the presiding officer. He will then sit in and then the Chief Justice will take him through the swearing ceremony. Once that is done, his first task will be to, give his acceptance speech, adjourn Parliament for the time being, for them to reconvene again at 10 a.m. at the Independence Square, because the swearing in of the president is a responsibility of Parliament, because they don't have that space to accommodate everybody who want to participate in the process. They'll have to sit at a neutral grounds, but it will be a sitting of Parliament. So even though they will be at the Independence Square, it will be a sitting of Parliament for the Speaker to now, supervise the process of getting the elected president sworn in as the President of the Republic.
All right. Now, each time you go to Parliament, you find the majority sitting on one side of the House and the minority sitting on one side. Has that been predetermined, or they can sit anywhere? They can switch sides?
No, the majority members or the governing party in Parliament will sit on the right side of the Speaker.
Always
on the right side of the Speaker. The minority members will be on the left side of the Speaker. Now, the MPP, we've not firmed up the exact number of MPs or the exact number of seats they've won.
Okay, my understanding from my checks with the Electoral Commission is that we have 169.
Okay, even with 169, it means that the available number of seats on the right side of the Speaker will be less than the 169. So you're going to find more of the MPP MPs moving to the minority, to the minorities. And even in this current Parliament, that is the arrangement. You'll find so many of the NDC MPs sitting with the minority side because of the non-availability of seats on their side. So that's going to happen. The right side is for the majority, the government in power. The left side is for the minority party.
All right. Thank you very much. Elton John Brobe is our parliamentary correspondent, and we will be bringing you live coverage of that transition and the swearing in of the new MPs, the process of electing a new speaker for the 7th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. You stay tuned. We're taking a break now. Bring you more news after.